Mike Greve, AEI. Tom, let me ask you sort of three related questions.
Right.
The first is that it seems to me, at least for the next decade, the future of the country will be decided not over foreign policy and not over the cultural issues either. It's all economics. Whether you agree with that or not is the first question. The second thing is, on the economics, what hangs over all of it is the debt and the rapid debt buildup. And my question with regard to that is, look, at some level you need higher taxes, and you will have to tell the American people that, sorry, you can't have this. All right, the open-ended entitlements and so on and so forth. How do you do that? How do you get across? How do you get that across without sounding like Bob Dole, right? Root canal republicanism. And the third question related to that is, what makes you think that the American people will respond favorably to that? I mean, the healthcare bill, if it goes down, you know, it won't go down because some proto-libertarian or Tea Party character out there protested. It will go down because the elderly would not stomach cuts to Medicare. And so it goes, you know, on issue after issue, from agricultural subsidies to Medicare to Social Security, and on and on and on. It seems to me the cultural issue to worry about, and this is my third question, isn't that people run around, you know, with nose rings and listen to rap music. It's the culture of dependency, and, you know, we've met the enemy and it's us.
Okay, you got a lot of questions in there, Michael. Let me say, look, as I say in the book, the culture does count. I mean, character counts. And you got people who may agree with you may think they agree with your philosophy, but they're people of bad character, and I don't care whether they're on the left or the right, and guess what? Ultimately, it causes that group great damage. So character matters enormously. With respect to economic policy, I really believe the people are ahead of the Washington leaders and are open to reasonable common sense solutions. Now let's talk about, there are two or three things I talk about. I don't talk extensively about health policy in there. I don't even know if I mentioned Stephen Hyde's book, Cured, but those of us who don't like the Obama proposal for, quote, health reform had better come up with something, because the system is broken. And Stephen Hyde, who is a incredibly knowledgeable man in this field, written a book called Cured, and I've had a chance to visit with him at some length, has a marvelous consumer-driven solution to the problem of better care at a lower price. As he points out very simply, and then I'll get on to the other questions, he said, if you think about transportation, food, clothing, housing, who makes most of the decisions? Consumers do. There's a safety net underneath, but it's essentially driven by the consumers. When you talk about healthcare, it's just the opposite. Government sets the prices, and then everybody starts figuring out how to game the system. And it's upside down economics. And if you could, I think there could be, if there were people of goodwill, a bipartisan approach to address this issue. But again, the Obama administration is determined to pass, you know, its approach, and the Republicans are trying to defeat it. And so you've gotten into this kind of partisan gridlock. But the system, the healthcare system, is broken and needs to be fixed. I do think that people are willing to make sacrifices if they feel that everybody's making the sacrifices. Now, secondly, what I propose in the book, and I talk a little bit about what Goldwater tried to do with education. He talked about local control of education and the danger of federal government and federal power. Well, Bush increased spending federal Department of Education 2 times. By doubled the spending during his 8 years in office. Incredible set of mandates, which many states fought against, including our own state in Texas. So you're spending more with less to show for it. Why not make the Department of Education a research arm, return on a pro rata basis those monies to the states and the local communities, do the same in transportation and other areas as well. So I think that you reduce the middleman, reduce the bureaucracy, and that's an approach it would take there. Third, why I favor the Hartman plan, as I talk on that, we can't do what Jack Kemp and others did in 1981, because they cut taxes and hoping we grow our way out of it, which ultimately we did, but The problem now is the debt levels are so high, any change in the tax system has to be revenue neutral, in my opinion. And that's what is the magic to me of the Hartman proposal, which replaces the business tax with an 8% border adjusted consumption tax. And that allows us to be competitive with our trading partners, bring a lot of those marginal manufacturing and other jobs home to the U.S., and will grow the private sector again. I think both the Bush administration and the Obama administration used the idea consumers are going to get us out of this problem, but if consumers are worried about their own debt levels, what are they going to tend to do? They're going to tend to save more, and that's precisely what's happening, or reduce their debt. Consumers are doing it, corporations are doing it, government isn't doing it, and I think the people will respond to that message if you have some common sense approaches and make sure everybody feels the pain, not just, not just certain groups.